Kenyan pauper spent a fortune, $2,000, on a bulk load of cheap plastic butter. Hiked the price on the spot. He spent another $1,000 just to buy the man's jacket.
What?
Donning the jacket, he disguised himself as a merchant to pass through the security checkpoint. The guards, too impatient to inspect every bucket, inadvertently allowed him to infiltrate the target zone. He sat in a quiet corner, biding his time until the patrols cleared out. Only then did he pull out a handheld console, open a decoy cigarette pack, and launch a biomimetic beetle drone. He piloted the beetle into a heavily guarded residence, scouting a massive stockpile of C4 explosives. Inside, terrorists were prepping suicide vests. It confirmed his intercepted intelligence. A new terror attack had entered its final countdown. He transmitted the live feed to MY6. The colonel immediately deployed a Predator drone to the edge of Kenyan airspace and requested a strike authorization.
Absolutely not.
However, the high-ranking officials in the Situation Room rejected the proposal, fearing the political fallout of a foreign military intervention. To gather more leverage for the strike, he maneuvered the beetle closer, but it caught the suspicion of a mysterious man inside. He quickly landed the drone on a ceiling beam, narrowly averting detection. More importantly, MY6 used facial recognition to confirm the man was a high-value terrorist leader who had evaded British authorities for 6 years. The colonel fought desperately for a green light, but time was bleeding out. Inside, the terrorists had donned their gear and were priming the C4. After continuous simulations to adjust the missile's blast radius and the secondary explosion from the C4, the colonel finally presented a plan to minimize civilian casualties. Authorization was finally granted, but just as the drone operator prepared to fire, a young girl walked to the building's perimeter and set up her stall.
Jesus.
The colonel ordered the strike,
Let's not lose it.
but the operator refused, unable to bear the thought of harming an innocent. Looking at the monitors, the informant saw the terrorists were fully armed and starting their live broadcast. The downtown area was moments from being hit. He looked up at the guards, took a deep breath, and sprinted toward the girl. Risking his cover, he bought every loaf of bread at once and urged her to go home immediately. His suspicious behavior caught the guards' eyes. Facing capture, he abandoned his buckets and bread, fleeing into the alleys. But at least the girl had finally left her stall. The operator pressed the button. The Hellfire missile was 50 seconds from impact. Suddenly, the girl doubled back to pick up the bread he had dropped, resetting her stall once more. Everyone's heart leaped into their throats. Relying on his familiarity with the terrain, he scaled compound walls and temporarily shook off the guards. He then called over a young boy, handed him a stack of cash, and begged him to buy the rest of the girl's bread. Finally, the girl packed up and left the perimeter. 10 seconds later, the missile accurately leveled the terrorist hideout, with the blast radius contained as predicted. The colonel confirmed the success of the decapitation strike via satellite.
Mission accomplished.
But the informant, stripped of support, out of ammunition, and completely exposed, was left surrounded by insurgents to face an unknown fate.